You may be seated. All right, now if Jonathan wants to come up and talk about camp. Yeah? Want to come up? Yeah? Want to come up? You got this, dude. All right. You can just sit on the cajon if you want. And you want to use a mic or go up to the stand? All right, we're good. No, we can go down. All right. What do you want to say? What was your favorite part about camp?
Archery.
Archery? Did you learn anything? Like about the Bible and stuff?
Yes.
Cool. What'd you learn?
I don't remember.
Fair enough. What about archery was fun?
Using the bow and arrow.
Okay. Did you make new friends?
Yes.
Tell us about them. Who are your friends?
Kevin. I don't remember the other ones.
No worries. Are you looking forward to camp for next year?
Yes.
All right. Good job, dude. Jonathan. All right. I think, is Hank up next? Hank. All right. Just want to use the mic, dude? All right. Works for me.
So camp for me was interesting. This was my first year of camp. I got invited by Amy. I was kind of skeptical, since I was new. So going into it, I was like, I don't know. But when I got there, I was like, this is so fun. I met a lot of fun people, a lot of fun counselors, kids. I got invited by Amy. And when I was there, I was on the worship team. I got invited by this young lady named Alicia. A lot of fun. So she was looking for a drummer, percussionist, which I am, and her prayers got answered by me because I play drums and percussion. If you can't tell on the cajon back there. So her prayers got answered by me. So I went up to camp and I was like, this is a lot of fun. And we played worship every day, and it was a lot of fun because every Sunday it's like we play one song or two songs and then call it good. But the whole week was every day, and the kids had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun leading worship. I had a lot of fun becoming a counselor for the first time, leading kids in ministry, like the worship aspect of it all. So it was a lot of fun. And then my nickname? Oh, yes. The kids called me Unc because some of you might know I'm an uncle to nephews and a niece. So I was called Unc towards the end of the camp week. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it next year because I would like to teach the kids again and do more ministry, more worship. So I would go back. It was a lot of fun.
Everyone. All right. I also really enjoyed camp. I've gone to camp since I was 8, like church camps, but this was my first time at Quaker Ridge with the denomination. So it was a bit of a learning curve. The camp I go to back in Minnesota, it's much more free time, much less structured, whereas Quaker Ridge you have an hour of nap time every day, and pretty much the rest of the day is scheduled doing stuff. And so the first couple days I was like really tired because not like physically, well, yes, physically, but also mentally, because I was like, we're just keep going and going and going. By the end I adjusted, and then that was great. So there were 7, I was in middle school counselor. There were 18 middle schoolers this year, 11 girls and 7 guys. There was a cabin of 4 and a cabin of 3. I had the cabin of 3. And that it was, middle school is an adventure, no matter what you do. There was boy drama, and boy-girl drama. So the whole spectrum. It was interesting. But one of my campers, he has some special needs and comes from a kind of chaotic home life. And because of that, developmentally, he was just at a different stage than everyone else. And getting connected with him, at first it was hard because just he's at a different stage, and so I would have to drop back from activities or leave activities partway through and just kind of go sit in the corner. And so I went and talked to him a few times, and watching that camper change was probably my favorite part of camp. At the beginning, he was really homesick. He was kind of sad. Wasn't really enjoying everything because he was so homesick. But Thursday and Friday of camp, he totally changed. He started interacting with people, and they interacted with him, and they didn't look down on him for where he was at developmentally, but just kind of went alongside him. And I'll tell about he has this dinosaur hoodie type thing. It's a little big on him. It's fuzzy and it has sleeves and a hood. And so what he decided to do is flip it so that the back is this way, and then put his legs in the armholes and also his arms in the armholes. And he called it chicken. And it's really funny. And he just started doing it. And then 3 people joined him. And they had this little chicken cult in the corner of the room we were at. So watching him change and grow and learn and mature was just awesome. I also really liked the unity among the counselors, because we were all in it together, and we were all dealing with the same stuff. So I went in, not knowing anyone outside of Amy or Hank. I kind of didn't know the culture of the camp. I didn't know how thing works, and by the end, I got a lot of really, really, really cool friends. And I'm excited for next year. And something else that the Lord really used it to point out sin in my life. I was partway through the week, because campers are campers and they don't do stuff they're supposed to and do stuff they're not supposed to. And so part of being counselor is enforcing boundaries. Well, the way I would do it is it wasn't very gentle. I would just kind of bark at them hey, stop doing this, stop doing that. And partway through the week, it clicked for me that I do that with them because when I mess up, when I sin in my own life, I just bark at myself and get mad. And I'm and just kind of stew in it for a while, and then Amy and Pastor Jeff are hey, give yourself a grace. I'm okay, yeah, you're right. So just learning that, because one thing my professor said at college is that leadership flows from character, and that certain character areas that the Lord still needs to work on, you can tell, because that the way you lead in that area isn't redeemed. And so it wasn't fun, but it was good for the Lord to point that out in my own life, and that's kind of an area of growth I need to work on. And because it was Wednesday, and some kids were swinging too high on the swing, and I did my thing, I barked at them, and it was elementary kids, and one of them just looked at me and was why are you so mean? And in the moment, I didn't say much of anything, but I was but that's why, is because I wasn't being graceful with him, because I'm not graceful with myself. So just working on seeing me the way the Lord sees me. So yeah, camp was great. I'm so excited for next year. Y'all should come if you can. It's really, really cool. All right, now Amy's up.
Is there any way I could use the stage mic, guys? Thank you. I have notes on my phone because otherwise I forget what to say. Hey, we have air conditioning again. I didn't know that. And I also caught the camp cold, is why I wasn't here last week, and the air conditioning is really setting off my asthma. So if I start coughing in the middle of this, please forgive me, I have my water. Camp. I love camp. Last year was my first year at camp. This was my second year at camp. I first want to thank you guys, because without you guys encouraging your kids to go or financially helping donate to getting our kids to camp, we would not be going to camp. This is only our second year working with the denomination to go to camp. I want to thank the board and our leadership at this church. Thank you for encouraging our kids and our parishioners to go send their kids to camp. And thank you for helping pay for the camp. I was talking to Pastor Mike Oldham. Mike and Sam are the two that run camp. There's 2 people running camp for 70 kids and about 30 adults. One of the things they told me is that the camp is the biggest financial draw on our denomination of all the things they do all year long. And I said, wow, why is that? He said, because we use this facility and they require us to reserve for 250 kids. And we usually have between 70 and 100. And he said, we have to make up the difference. He said, it's $1,000 for each kid to come to camp for the week. And the denomination helps make up what we don't pay. He said, we don't want it to be a burden on our churches, so the denomination pays the $560 and we pay $440 or somewhere in that neighborhood. So I think we owe a debt of gratitude to our denomination for making sure our kids get to go to camp. It's a huge risk for them. They show up with an 8x10 trailer is packed to the gills. It is so stuffed they can't sometimes get the door closed. We had to unpack it and repack it. Because they bring all this stuff. The bounce houses came with us to camp. All the things come in that trailer. And it's just like the biggest trailer of joy you've ever seen. The theme this year was glow. That's why our t-shirts say glow. These also glow in the dark, which is kind of the coolest thing ever when you have kids running all over camp in glow in the dark t-shirts. Inside the little light bulb is the theme verse, which you are the light of the world, which is Matthew 5:14, is the theme verse right inside. They did a multitude of activities that were planned out with the glow theme. If you're not aware, camp is set up so that it is 3 separate camps running concurrently on the same site, which is a marvel of engineering. We have high schoolers. We had 11 high schoolers. We had 18 middle schoolers, and the rest were all elementary kids. The 3 camps are going all over the site in different directions. They never really cross that much except when like the high schoolers help put on elementary programming and a few times. There were color powder wards. There was glow games with a whole glow in like black light and glowing everything. Glow party. There were flashlight night games and glow in the dark capture the flag. There were glow sticks pretty much everywhere you looked. Every evening we had glowing everything. But the real glow was the love that you could see in the group. First the denomination and their love of the people here. Our leadership knew every kid by name. 70 kids, and by the end of the week they had everybody's name. Caring and loving on those kids. For the volunteers, we have over 30 volunteers coming from, I think we counted up 14 different churches. There were people who traveled as far as from Delta. It was like a 9-hour drive, I think is what they said. One of those volunteers was a lady named Sandy. Sandy is pushing 80, and she decided to be the arts and crafts lady for the week. It was, her love on those kids was just touching. For the volunteers, there's no paid staff at this camp except for the people who are running the actual camp, the Quakers. It's a Quaker run camp, and then we rent the facility. And they have staff that's like cooking the meals and such, but for our portion of the programming, there are no paid, it's all volunteers. Our message the message to us as volunteers is to be loving kids one step closer to Jesus. And whether that is helping a kid with hygiene issues because they don't know how, or talking to them about the love of Jesus, or answering hard questions that they're afraid to ask their families because they've been raised in church their entire life and they don't know how to ask whether or not that idea that they heard somewhere along the way is actually biblical. they're a little scared. All of this is this loving kids one step closer to Jesus. One of the most evident places I saw it was during our worship times. We have worship every day, and there is singing and praise and a message, and then we break into smaller groups and had like a teaching time every day. The love that was shown in those times was just phenomenal. The care, the acts of service. I want to tell you a story about Ian and Hank, and they did not give me permission to do this, so this is totally, sorry. Sorry. Ian had 3 boys, and one of the things that became obviously challenging was some of the hygiene of knowing how to take care of themselves. And at one point, Ian very lovingly found he found Hank's room, because Hank was housed in a room by himself in the lodge area. He had them put on their swimsuits, and they went in and learned how to wash hair, because they had had help at home and they had not known how to do this. They had showered and come out with pink hair still. And Ian very lovingly went in and helped those boys, all 3 of them, just standing there, okay, come on, you're up, we're getting you cleaned up here, helping them learn how to wash their hair. Something I hope they can take back with them, because it was definitely an issue. Hank was just an inspiration to everybody. I told Hank this story on the drive home. There's a lady named Gwen who is, she's African American. She goes to Ebenezer Church, which is in Colorado Springs. It's an African American church. There's about 15 ladies who meet there, and that's their church. And Gwen comes along, and she was the high school director. And Gwen is a little bit older and a rotund woman, and she had skipped the hike with the high schoolers. Every group hikes to the top of what is called Soldier Peak. Well, during the hike, when our group went up, they went up early in the morning. Every group hikes to the top of what is called Soldier Peak. Well, during the hike, when our group went up, they went up early in the morning. Our buddy Hank had a tumble and ended up with stitches. That was our one moment but he made it to the top. And I was down at the bottom, and Gwen was checking on Hank. She's like, is he okay? Is everything okay? Is he going home? Is he all right? And I'm like, he's fine. He's fine. And she said, I've just decided that the Lord has shown me through him that if Hank can hike to the top of the mountain, maybe I should be doing it too. She said, I haven't hiked that mountain in 10 years of coming up here and volunteering. And she said, if he can do it, I can do it. And she said, I'm doing it next year. And I said, okay, good for you. It's just an amazing experience. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys your willingness to share your kids with us, your willingness to send us as volunteers, just all of this support. As far as next year's goes, my hope is that our young adult group, we can get everybody some of those folks to take a week and volunteer and go up as counselors. It's a draining job to be a counselor. I will tell you that. You're getting about 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, and you're kind of on all the time. It's exhausting. It's a great week. But you gotta have some spunk for that one. But something else I would really love to see us send are some of our little more mature members as grandparents. We had a little girl in the elementary camp who was the younger sibling of one of our middle school kids who went home midweek just because she was so homesick, and it was just tears 24/7. And because of the volunteers all having groups of kids, it was kind of a handoff job of people being around her and supporting her, which I think in some ways made it more difficult. And I would challenge you guys, if you've got a week to give, come up and hang out as a camp grandparent. Come hang out with us. just loving on kids. You don't have to be at all the activities. You can literally like hang out on the porch. But when we have a kid who just needs a little extra love, we'd love to have some folks around who we can kind of say, hey, can you sit with this one for a little bit? She could really use some love and care. And the other thing that I'm wanting to do and hopefully send from our congregation is a hospitality box. A lot of our kids who attend this camp are friends of friends, and that was true for our congregation as well. We had about half the kids our church sent were kids who you know, and about half of them were kids you don't know, because they were friends of some of our kids. And because of that, you get a lot of kids who are there and have never had that kind of an experience before. And not only sometimes is it a little more challenging of the spiritual nature, but it's also more challenging because sometimes they don't have everything they need. So I'm going to bring a box, and it's going to have camp donations on it. And if you have that toothbrush the dentist gives you, and you're like, I don't like their toothbrushes, throw it in the box. Or little bottles of hotel soap and shampoos. Throw those in there. Another thing we could really use is if you're getting rid of older towels or bath mats. Those would be really helpful, just because the camp doesn't provide those. The kids have to bring them from home. And so if you have any of those items, I'm just going to put a little camp donation box out. I'll put it out for a while now. I'll probably store it in my garage, and then it will come back right before we go next year.